I do not have none of my music digitalized. All of my music was done old school analog. One of the lyrics I wrote was Dewan Kelly, Lewis Bates, and then Renzo. It's hard to say goodbye, and it's hard to see your friends go. Dewan Kelly, Lewis Bates, and then Renzo. It's hard to say goodbye, and it's hard to see your friends go. I'm just going to tell you what time it is, people. I want to tell my story. My story is this. All of this gangster talk about Detroit gangsterism. Game ain't to be sold. Game ain't to be told. Not while you in the game, okay? And that's important. Game ain't to be sold. Game ain't to be told while you're in the game. Some people are outside the game. Some people is the game. When you are the game, you can never get out of it. When you're in the game, you can get out of it, but it is hard to get out of the game. I'm just spitting street game to y'all, right? I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and I'm a YouTuber. And there's two YouTubers in Detroit, Eddie Jackson Jr. and Juice. Them boys spitting that game. They spitting that game. Those guys are the game. Eddie Jackson Jr. think that he's going to get out of the game. Man, you was birthed in the game. You are the game's baby. You are the game, man. There's a lot of things you don't know. Your daddy was the king. You a prince, man. And there's a lot of things that your daddy failed to tell you. And there's a lot of things that your daddy didn't know. There's a lot of gangsters, killers, street people that your daddy didn't know. Your daddy knew some of my peoples, right? Your daddy knew them Rileys, man. I'm a Riley. I'm the son of a Riley. Just like you, son of a Jackson. I'm son of a. You a Jackson. I'm a Riley son. And I'm just gonna tell you, man. That's a fact. All my family know it. I am son of these people who y'all talk about. It could be an adopted son. It can be a birth son. I'm gonna tell you, I don't know, but I tell you for sure, I'm a Riley. Now I want you to tell me for sure. You don't know. I know a little bit more than you. I am son of Riley, and Leonard and Michael was my peoples. I lived in the house that Michael and Leonard was raised in over on St. Clair between Mack and Canfield. And everybody knew it. Michael Leonard was cut from that old school curry cloth. Okay? Them was the people that protected me as a young man as I was growing up out here. I didn't want no parts of these streets. I wanted to follow the gospel. And following the gospel, the best that I could landed me as being an Israelite. I didn't want to be a part of the streets. I didn't want to be a part of the church. Two worlds that was pulling for my soul because I had family in it, friends, the gospel, the streets. Okay. I am the son of Riley. Michael Leonard are my uncles. Now we could talk this adopted game, right? We could talk this natural born game. They claim me. And my DNA go back to Riley. You can't put your trust in what these hoes be doing, man, and who they slanging pussy to, man. And that's what y'all niggas do a little bit too much with alpha males, straight alpha males. And I'm saying this to Juice, and I'm saying this to Eddie Jackson Jr. Now, I didn't on my videos. I didn't did a little demonstrations and I didn't talk. None of that had nothing to do with me, man. I was a little boy at the time, man. It had a lot to do with many of my friends that were the same age as me, but I wasn't doing it. I was a guy who saw the craziness that y'all bragging about and didn't want no part of it. I forced myself to get mad at the world and to find justification for doing it. And in doing that, I became an evil being. And I thought and walked after the likes of the Currys. Okay? Michael Leonard they were White Boy Rick's bodyguards. Because White Boy Rick come from that Curry camp, and that's where Michael and Leonard Riley was the enforcers at. Y'all talk about whether whether the Currys was putting down bodies. Okay. Y'all talk about that. Well, Michael Riley was the most notorious hitman, the most feared hitman in the city of Detroit. It was a cross between him and Clifford Jones. I don't like talking about these names, y'all. These people are my family. They're my friends. They done wicked and bad things in this world. And that's why I chose the gospel, things like that to talk about. And I ain't telling on nobody. This is why I get mad when I hear people talk about the Currys, Big Ed Hassard, Clifford Jones, the Monster Crew, Demetrius Holloway, Maserati Rick. I attended his funeral. I stood over that legendary coffin. I seen it with my own eyes. I walked the walk y'all talk about. No, I was not a drug dealer. I was too busy trying to become somewhere between a preacher and a rapper. I found out that the preachers was corrupt, and then I found out that the music industry was corrupt, and they was more interested in dealing with the people who wanted to tell the Detroit gangster story and not interested in to me telling the gospel. They wanted me to tell the Detroit gangster story. And I could have did it better than anybody, but I didn't. I have tracks with the Cheddar Boys. I do. I was going out of the game, blessing them, giving them the baton, passing the baton to Malik, P. Prime, Agony, Tough Tone. You know what I'm saying? Jesse James. But those records go unsung. Because a lot of things that I talked about just go unsung. You just don't hear the things that Yasha tell you. Yasha told y'all that Tahuti was going to get bit by those snakes and those vipers. I'm searching in my annals to see on one of those records where I made a recording because Tahuti is playing with Yahweh. He's playing with reality. He's playing with power. He disrespect knowledge. He disrespect his mother, right? He disrespect religion. There's a video out here where Tahuti said that he got put out, and then he turned around and made another video where he said the pastor got put out. Or I could be mistaken, but there is a video out here where I told y'all that Tahuti was going to get bit playing with those snakes, man. Because Tahuti is playing a dangerous game. And he told y'all in his last video that he plays a dangerous game. Everything is life and death with him. That's stupid. Ain't nobody put him in that position. Tahuti put himself and he chose to be in those positions. I don't feel sorry for him. He won't get a dime of my money and very little of my attention. But I did tell y'all that Tahuti, Amin Ra Hotel, was going to get bit by those snakes and those spiders. I did say that. And now it has come to pass. But back at the ranch, right? I wish that you guys swept it down. Y'all know who in these streets. Y'all know who not in these streets. Y'all swear y'all know about these streets. I know about these streets. I know who getting them. I know who ain't getting them. I know what the old school niggas doing. Some of them niggas got out of prison and they chose to get on YouTube and tell their story. Not many, but some. Just earlier this year, 3 of them tried to do it. One of them robbed the pastor Marvin Winans, and he ended up getting fed to the rats. He became rat food over there, you know, over on the cell somewhere, you know. over there off Dexter, over on the west side, somewhere in that hood, in the same hood that the same guy robbed Marvin Winans. All of this stuff that I'm telling y'all, I done talked about and covered it on this channel. What I have not covered, and I did, was that some of these gangster names that, man, y'all niggas, man, need to stop talking about, man. Unless y'all ready for war, man. The boogeyman is out. Y'all know who the fucking boogeyman is, man. I ain't gotta tell y'all, man. I've been raised around these peoples, man, and I've been warned not to talk about them. You know what I'm saying? I've been warned. While y'all niggas out here making these videos, man, and I'm very much aware, I'm very much prepared. I ain't going to no goddamn prison. I'll go to the box before I go to the prison. That's my decision, right? They gonna have to sneak me in, find a way to put me in the fucking prison. I ain't shooting nobody. I ain't killing nobody. I smoke weed like a motherfucker. Y'all see me with big ass jars, right? And according to, unless the feds come hollering at me, and they can, I ain't doing no wrong. I am a street nigga, man. All my life, my family have protected me. And my family have been the monster crew. Okay? My family have been the Currys. And my family has been Big Ed Hansard. Those three crews have been in my family. They've showed up when necessary and I needed them for street shit. I can tell y'all stories about how some of these crews, all of them was cool with me, but some of them crews had bad blood. I can tell you stories about how some of my friends have gotten involved in the beefs. I could tell you how some of my friends have died. I could tell you how some of my friends have gotten rich. I could tell you those street stories that I have lived. Sad part about it, I lived these stories only by being guilty by association. I was associated with these people and I've tried my best to see Christ, Muhammad, Moses, any savior that they told me that was out there. I sought them to leave the agonies of the Detroit streets. And I've been telling y'all over and over again. I started out talking about DeJuan Kelly, Louis Bates, and then Renzo. My family, my friends, all died at 14, 15, 16 years old, selling crack, selling drugs, playing with guns, acting like y'all hitmen, or because they was influenced by the stuff that Ed, Cliff, the Currys, Charles, Big Man, Little Man, All the young people looking up to that game and not looking to God. We talk about way back in the 80s. I started looking for God, y'all. And I'm 51 goddamn years old. Going on 52 in 10 and a half months. A long time. Now, y'all got Eddie Jackson Jr. and Juice out here warring. And they don't know, but they should know. Both of these guys know about what happens when you talk about guys like Eddie Jackson Sr., when you talk about guys like Charles Curry, Big Man, Little Man Curry. I know the dangers of it because my big YouTube page, that was my big page, I had everybody on there, all kinds of stars, gangsters, Israelites. I'm talking about movers and shakers on that page. And Cecil Riley introduced me at the Joy Family Picnic to Big Man Curry. Now, Juice say that's Little Man, but that's Big Man. Little Man did. That's Big Man, man. I'm not going to put his real name out here because all of that shit is not my business to talk about. What is my business to talk about is the danger and the harms that could come by dropping these men's names, right? I put it in Eddie Jackson's chat. You know, he talks about a lot about Demetrius's kidnapping, right? That he staged. And he got a whole video about Leonard Riley. But Michael don't know. I mean, not Michael. Eddie don't know that it was Leonard Big Brother Michael that Demetrius paid. Now, this is $1 million story. I don't like talking about these streets, right? Eddie don't know why he getting all these birds from Demetrius and why he getting rid of all of these birds over there with Leonard. He don't know that Demetrius paid Leonard's big brother to stage the whole hit. Michael, Uncle Michael. That's what I call him. I call him my Uncle Michael. I told y'all I'm son of a Riley, right? And my family knows this. And the DNA test will contest this, but I'm not here to put my family's business out there. It's for me to know and you to figure out. That's in case y'all want to talk this stepson shit, real son shit, right? My family know my business. And they know how these streets go. And they know how the game was played. That shit was 50 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago. I'm 51. I'm a product of that shit. I never sold drugs. I never sold crack, heroin. I sold a lot of weed. I got a big ass jar of weed right now. About to wish that I could roll up one shit. So I'm just saying, man. The Currys were weed men, and they got off into the heroin game. You know, they got big off into that. Charles was a weed man. Charles was like me. You know, I promoted, man. Y'all sell weed, sell weed. And my niggas, they listen to me and they get big, big bags of weed, and then they feel like that's just not good enough for them. Come on, man. You don't have to get off into that other world. But the younger Currys got off into that world. And anytime that there was a problem, Big Man and Little Man had an ace in the hole. And that was Michael Riley. Michael Riley was a thoroughbred killer. These men are dead. Now, I can talk about these. I'm not going to talk about nothing. And they want to know whether the Currys was putting people down, man. Come on, man. Clifford Jones, respected. Michael Riley. Leonard Riley, protected. White boy Rick. Clifford Jones, protected. White boy Rick. Those were the three dangerous men. Most dangerous men. Oh, Steve Washington. I forgot to talk about him. Those were the four most dangerous men that I know of in Detroit history. And this is the order: Michael, Clifford, Leonard, Steve. All of those men are dead except for one. Peace, Vicar. All of those men are dead except for one. And while Eddie and Juice out here talking, there's people that are catching brand new cases. Because y'all guys are out here talking about names, man. There's new indictments, and the feds is watching. I'm telling you what I know. Okay? Anything that got anything to do with any of these gangster old school names and these new school rappers, I am the first to get the information. Guess what? Anything that happens with Israel, I am the first to get the information. Y'all be careful. And I'm talking about y'all, I'm talking about Eddie Jackson Jr. and Juice, about dropping these goddamn names, man. But guess what? The war may have ended, but the business has never stopped, man. Right? I don't talk about the dope game. I'm gonna tell you why I'm talking about the dope game, and I'm gonna tell you why I don't preach against the dope game. Because earlier in my career, I found myself in a position like Malcolm X. I found myself, like Eddie. Malcolm was born in contemporaries with guys like, what's them big New York gangsters? The guy at the Toad, and my man with the big furry coat and them, and y'all know what I'm talking about. Well, when Malcolm X was Malcolm Little, and he was running around in the streets of Detroit Red, well, those were the guys that he was getting his dope from, right? Was it Barnes and Frank Barnes and Lucas, Eddie Lucas, some crazy shit? I don't know them niggas' name, man. I'm a Detroiter. But How Malcolm X was, that's how I was. All of the big names in Detroit gangsterism, I was that guy running around with that shit. That's what the shit that I was doing, right? That's what my mind was. Now, I was a kid. What I say at 14, 15, 16 years of age, what in the hell am I doing with the gauge? You know, little boy. That was the world that I was in. And I was born in it. There's family members of mine that was in it. People that got my blood, people that I love, that I in, that was in that dope game. And I'm just saying, man, I never was in it. You dig? I never was in it. Uh, at 13, 14, 15 years old, I had ambitions and desires of it, but the gospel caught me and changed me and turned me around from that. But what it didn't do was change my family and friends around from it, which means that I've always had loved ones that was in and connected with these streets. You understand what I'm saying? And it's been a respect thing. You know, I never was forced to get in it. You know, I never was that guy. Even coming up, I was so connected, man, that I never had to sell drugs. The dope man would give me his silk shirts. I'm talking about. I remember I had big bags of silk shirts and shit. You know, while my friends were selling crack, and drugs. You know, I had shit that was given to me by the drug man, plus a bunch of other guns and other dumb shit. Right, and it wasn't even the guns we actually stole. You know, y'all hear my story. It was still gun from Big Ed, you know. Right. I never had to. Why did I have to go and sell drugs to look fresh when the dope man was giving me clothes? I would have been doing way too fucking much. I would have been stepping out of a child's place like my friend Eric Cameron, R.I.P. Eric. Eric has always stepped out of a child's place. Hold on. Yeah, get that. That's probably Drunko. Eric has always stepped out of a child's place. Eric was my friend, same age, did like 30 years. He did those White Boy Rick numbers right when White Boy Rick went to jail. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Right at that time. And when he got out, he got killed. He got killed.
Because I'm telling these bitches about
when he got out, he got killed. You see, I'm in the ghetto still dealing with this crazy shit.
No, in here too.
You know. Hold on for a second. Trying to get out of the ghetto.
But I put my real shit in here.
But I'm just saying that while these guys is making these videos and talking these names, I got a call last night about a family member that just got indicted. Fucking around with that game, man. But you got guys like Juice and Eddie Jackson Jr. throwing out these names. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't know what's happening out here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what's going to happen is what's going to happen. And a man is going to be what a man is going to be. And I am not protecting no giants. My speech is protect the little niggas. because the giants is the giants. The boogeyman is the boogeyman.
No boys.
You understand what I'm saying? I'm not trying to protect the boogeyman. The boogeyman understands what it is. I'm trying to protect you all. Stop talking about real life issues and real life people. Okay? Some of them old gangsters, man, is gonna be. Y'all already know who it is and what it is, man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gonna have to stop throwing these names out there like that, man. You understand? You know, me and the Moors, right? Them my peoples, man. I remember when I was coming up, man, when the Monster Crew had the hood on lock. You know what I'm saying? And I had my personal group of friends didn't they got it they decided at 14, 15, 16 years of age to start selling crack. You know what I'm saying? And them big boys, the Monster Crew niggas, you know, they really didn't like that because them little hundreds and them little thousands was coming up short. You know, you had crack fiends that would travel all the way from our hood to go way down there to where them niggas was at to sell crack. So somehow my best friend got the idea he wanted to sell crack. My friend he was just a mischievous ass little boy. Angelo Brooks, that was my nigga. You know, Black Bottom, that was the Monster Crew's hood. Everybody knew that. Me, Low, all of us knew that. Niggas knew who ran that area over there, man. But somehow you had guys that was hustling up under those big men. And they didn't like my man Low. Because Low, you hear Juice talk about the moped days. Where all them little gangster niggas was riding around on, they wasn't riding around on mopeds, they were riding around on scooters. Honda Sprees, Reva Jogs, Elite 150s, Elite 250s. That's what the little dope boys was riding on. The little not the drug dealers. They were driving in Benzes and Audis. You know what I'm saying? And I'll tell you another one. It's a Samurai Suzuki. That's what the big guys was in. The little niggas, the little spot workers they had little sprees and reefer jogs and, you know, things like that. And Angelo was the first nigga from our hood to get him a moped. He got him a moped and immediately started hanging with the Monster Crew guys. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what them guys was about down there. You know, he was trying to impress them guys down there. And see, Angelo grew up with them niggas down there. That's what a lot of niggas on the other side of Forest don't know. Angelo grew up with them niggas. You know, Charles, you know, Charles went to school with Cliff and them and Steve. And, man, them niggas knew each other very well. But Angelo started getting that money, man. Next thing you know, Angelo come through the hood with a motherfucker blue. IROC, was it IROC Z28 or some shit like that? With them, I'm talking about rims shining. I'm talking about it wasn't a drop top. It was the ones where you took the windows out of the top, the T top. Now, Angelo couldn't have been no more than about 14, 15 years old. The next thing you know, they were still working. They still working. Next thing you know, Angelo come through the hood with a goddamn BMW, what is it, 325 or 328 or some shit like that. You talking about like 1987. 15. We both were born in 1972. He was born in April, I'm born in November.
Sorry, not that.
I had to protect Angelo. Because a lot of them guys, man, didn't like him. And I knew that we could handle those guys because they was our contemporary. These guys wasn't doing what Angelo was doing. They were working for niggas, and Angelo was the boss. They couldn't compete with Low, so they ain't like Low. You know, Low come to school super fresh and shit. The niggas didn't like Low, you know. So I grew up down there across Forest. Low grew up across there, down there across Forest. Our crew, Angelo crew, was started by me. I'm the nigga that put all of them niggas together. You know what I'm saying? The Angelo crew wasn't started by Angelo. I put all Angelo crew of my friends, a bunch of niggas who I hand selected that was my favorite people in the hood. And we all just happened to become close because of me. Niggas who I went to school with, because my Uncle Eric, which was Steve Washington's best friend, always told me to hang around the toughest guys in the hood. So I handpicked the toughest niggas across Forest who I wanted to make my road dogs. And we talk about 12, 13 years old. Angelo, he was too hot. Even at 12, 13 years old, Angelo was the type of bad boy that'll cuss your mama out. You know what I'm saying? Throw a brick through your motherfucking window. You know what I'm saying? Angelo would run. You know, he would do shit and run. You know, he would do shit and get away. You know what I'm saying? And he had a lot of people not liking him. You know, Angelo type of dude that'll smack your daughter on the ass and she ain't like it. All that type of shit. She chase him around, and Angelo is just mischievous, you know, but all of the girls liked Angelo at the same time. But anyway, Angelo ended up becoming that guy. So when I'm originally from the Black Bottom. I left the Black Bottom in like 78. And we moved over here on Jefferson off of Riverside. And I stayed over there from like 78 to probably like 84. So I had roots over there off Riverside, but I was born in the Black Bottom. So basically, we went through a series of moving all throughout my life. But over there off of Jefferson, one of my homeboys actually was a family member, you know. We was like Tupac, you know, playing that we cousins, knowing that we wasn't, you know. My man Montel Moore, you know, his uncles was out here getting them, you know what I'm saying? And they was part of Ed's crew. And me and my man that was my home team, you know. And we was mischievous, bad little boys. We wasn't bad as Angelo and all of them was, but we had more power and juice than a lot of them other niggas, because we was more connected to the source of the problem. Those guys was trying to be the problem, but we was more connected to the source of the problem. Me and Mont more than anybody. I was connected to, you know, the Currys, the Monster Crew, and Ed. And he was connected to Ed and the Chambers. No, you know what I'm saying? Oh, and I also connected to the best friends too, loosely. They were my father's peoples. You know, Malignum came from that monster, came from that Tell the boy Malik and them came from that best friend cloth. You know what I'm saying? That's my cousin too. You know, so what I'm trying to say is that we were the sons, daughters, nieces, and nephews of your big Ed Hansers, your Clifford Joneses, your Leonard Rileys, your Michael Rileys, your Charles, big man, little man Currys. You know, we are the nieces, nephews, sons, and daughters of those peoples, man. And I'm telling you that none of that lifestyle, but any blessing or any benefit that any of us have ever gotten out of this life, we did it for ourselves. And drugs and any of that legacy had very little to do with it. The ones that did benefit off of it, they still in it. They still live it. They still convinced by it. But I'm here to tell you, all of them niggas know that that shit ain't the way to go. The newer generation, all of them know it. It's just that our family have created this path and this gangster, pagan, heathen way of life. Many of them, if I've told y'all, have been upset with me because that's the path that I should have walked down. That's the path that was designed and set forth for me to walk down. And I made people upset because I chose not to have nothing to do with that, like that, like that. No more than you being my brother, sister, cousin, nephew, uncle, dad, right? Or any of that dumb shit. I had nothing to do with their lifestyle. Just like they had nothing to ever do with wanting to be a Hebrew or Israelite. But what I am trying to tell you is that I had an internal war with my gangster ass family, my gangster ass people. You know, Terry come from a cloth that was, like I told y'all earlier in this video, I was either going to be a preacher or a gangster. You know, a Christian preacher or a gangster. That world was cut out for me to easily be in. This Israelite world was a world that I had to create for myself. You know, and I have crossed, jumped over hurdles, leaps and bounds, you know, just to get me right where I am today. I'm not going to say it is nowhere, but it only benefits me to be where I'm at. I have tried to spread this knowledge with my brothers and sisters out there to get them to get the benefit of it. I have not even talked about where I'm at in the Hebrew thing, and I'm really getting off topic. But Eddie Jackson and Juice, right here from Detroit, Michigan. I don't want to see nobody else die connected to some 30-year-old, 40-year-old motherfucking Demetrius Holloway motherfucking beefs, man. Demetrius is dead, man. And all the bodies that we didn't catch then, we shouldn't catch now, man. Let Satan have his drug game. Eddie, if you're not in it, just tell your story like I'm telling mine. I'm not in it, man. But I still have people that are in it because I'm supposed to be in it. I wasn't supposed to be a Hebrew. I wasn't supposed to be an Israelite, man. That was something that it just happened by the grace of God. I can't begin to tell you how I got here. You know, the ISUPK didn't bring me here. You know, wasn't nobody standing on the street corner or YouTube or watching TV or listening to a radio or watching a pamphlet or a magazine. I didn't get here by any of those directions. I got here by basically simple study, research of the Bible and the scriptures. I was supposed to be in them streets. I was supposed to be a hitman with my uncle, Leonard and Eddie. That's what I was supposed to be. I was supposed to be a hitman with Big Unc Clifford Jones, right? That's why I'm so feared now because these boys in the hood know I'll put the smack on them. You know, they know I'll put that busting on them. You know, that's what I'm supposed to be, and that's all I ever emulated. I never wanted to sell drugs or crack. Most of the men that I grew up was around was killers. You see, that's why I never sold drugs. I always was the enforcer. I was the guy who protected Angelo, me, and Adrisso Palmer, Patrick, and Camuel, and Jamal. We were the guys that protected that man. More so me and Adrisso than anybody. People were scared of Drisso because they know Juice just was a live wire. People knew that Juice will beat your ass. That he'll fight anybody, he didn't care how big or small. And a lot of times he was like a little pit bull. He came out the victor. You know, if you was a big guy, you got into it with Juice, you got into it with goddamn. I seen Juice walk up to big niggas and smack them like bitches, and they shook, man. I'm talking about protected Angelo, man. You know, yeah, I grew up in that shit, man. You know, yeah, I ain't talking about none of them guys, man. I failed, nigga, the fucking ninth grade because of Steve Washington. You hear me? Because him and my uncle Eric, Catfish James, was so motherfucking close. And Xavier Strickland. You know what I'm saying? Black bottom niggas. You know what I'm saying? Then was my uncles. There was the three road dogs right there. Eric, Steve, Zay. Eric and Zay was real close. Steve was close too, but everybody loved Steve. Everybody was Steve Washington best friend. Shit. You know, Steve was just one of them niggas that was just loved by every motherfucker body. You couldn't, nobody in the black bottom could claim Steve. Everybody claimed Steve. No single person could claim him. Everybody loved Steve. You know, Steve and Eric and Xavier and them on graduation day from Newsom fucked around and pulled a stunt on Miss Whiteside where they was catching her coming up the stairwell. Them boys was at the top of the stairwell with a fishing rod. They threw the fishing rod with a sinker on it because Miss Whiteside used to wear these fancy wigs, and she was one of them big fat prissy bitches, you know, nasty, stuck up attitude acting, you know, one of them bitches, you know. So Steve and they knew Cliff and them, all of them knew Miss Whiteside. All of them, everybody over there from Newsom knew Miss Whiteside. They fuck around and basically took the fishing rod, and while she was coming up the steps, they hook, line, and sinker and pulled a wig off her head and had her walking through school the last day, bald headed. They got the world got to see the real Geraldine Whiteside. And she did not like that. Steve and Eric were like 5 years older than me, maybe 6. I think I was born in like 72, Steve and Eric was born like 64, 65, something like that. They was like my bigger brother type age. But Eric was actually my uncle. Why I say that? Because Steve had brothers and sisters that was my age. You know. Yeah, but a lot of that shit would happen, man. A lot of beefs went down. You know, a lot of best friends. The niggas got to beefing with the best friends. It got ugly. You know, Steve lost his life in that shit. Steve killed a bunch of them. Steve probably killed a bunch of them, or some of them, or one of them. Or it was a beef going on, and niggas lost their lives in it, man. And the crazy part about it was, you know, like I said, I grew up in the hood with the monster crew niggas, but my daddy's side of the family was them best friend niggas. You know, niggas just not getting out of prison doing a 30 piece. You know, niggas doing more time than Boogaloo. Niggas who did more time than Boogaloo. You know, yeah, you know, so I my family was you can't mention a name of an old Detroit crew that close members of my family wasn't in, man. And I was loved by all of them. You did. And because of that, and because none of those people selling drugs, that was our history. I wanted to remain that. I wanted to remain our history because many of those gangsters are now Israelites today. Many of those guys from the monster crew are studying and looking into that Bible because they heard that we were the children of Israel. And I'm telling you that what I know. Some of those guys are pastors, right? Some of those guys are Israelite ministers now, you know. And I'm just telling y'all that. You know, I was listening to Juice. Now, he had a guy on there the other day. He really didn't say exactly who he was. And he was telling his story about the people that he knew, you know, but he wouldn't tell his name. And but ain't nobody after all of that, ain't nobody hear how he said and he had his sentiments is like mine, you know. We don't want no beefs, you know. But there's people out there that's what they is, man. That's what they do, you know, and that's why I talk this Israelite shit, man. You know, because I'm about to change in the reformation of the black mind. That's what I'm about. Okay. I'm really, really about that. You know, and I just got a call on last night how one of my family, my friends, just caught an indictment associated. Just got out of prison, just got out from doing 30 plus. Came home to his family gone and had nothing to turn to and went back to those streets. And an indictment was on him. What that got to do with anything? I'm just telling y'all, man. All this fucking YouTube talking, man, about these gangsters. We know who is who, what's what. I'm just saying, man, some of these names, man, we shouldn't be talking about. Okay. The future, I done talked enough. I done said enough, right? The boogeyman is out here. And before that boogeyman get locked up in that box, man, a lot of people will get murdered and killed. All right? Quit dropping these names, okay? Because the boogeyman didn't go to jail for being the boogeyman. And I'll tell you that now. The boogeyman went to jail for being a Don Gotti. He never went to jail for being the boogeyman. And the boogeyman likes the boogie. I was warned to stop talking about the boogeyman. Family and close relatives with my blood connection told me to stop talking about the boogeyman. And I'm just gonna be the first one to tell y'all, man, y'all better stop, man. Y'all better keep that man's name out y'all mouth, man. And we just talking street shit, okay? Because the feds is watching. Now, as far as this shit goes with Tashako Kelly, I'm not going to do no harm to him unless he come to me. The feds is watching. I don't want no part of none of this gangster shit, y'all. I want to tell this truth and this gospel. And I do know that the feds is watching, which is a reason why Yasha and Terry has to fall back. Because of my connections to these streets, because of my connections to the Israelite world. And I do not want them to cross over. And that's what Satan wants them to do. Right? Because I'm not planning on going to nobody's fucking penitentiary. It might mean something if I plan on being a thug or go. I don't plan on going to fucking penitentiary. My job is not to let that shit cross over. I failed by letting the rap world in the streets cross over. I'm not going to give up on telling the truth about God. The only reason why I'm talking about this is because I know the feds is watching. I got into a beef with an Israelite. And the Israelite talking about coming up here wanting to dance and boogie in Detroit, not knowing that I am the boogeyman. Basically, I am the boogeyman. I was trained by the boogeyman, raised by the boogeyman. Got cases, standing up doing football number charges of me convincing the judge that I ain't the boogeyman. I thought I was judge, but I'm not the boogeyman. And I know I don't want to be the boogeyman. The judge told me that you are a very dangerous man. At least 3 times in my life, I had to stand before that judge. He had told me that I was a very dangerous man. And he has threatened me. He's threatened my life. That if I stand before him again, he's going to show me how bad I am by sending me to the home and the residence where the bad people rest. I don't want to be a bad boy. I haven't done nothing bad in 20, 30 years. You know, I know who I am. I know what I want. Right? I went on a paradigm shift the other day, And I was telling Leandre how I was a fan of his, and Leandre proceeded to talk about what his gripe was with me, but he never got a chance to say it. But his co-host, all he could say was Yasha is a wild boy. I listened to myself today looking for the track where I warned the world that the snake was going to bite Tahuti, or the spider. And I did say that. I just have to dig through all 400, 500 videos, 600 videos to see which one of those I said it on. Yes, Tahuti is a fraud. Anybody who's wasting time over there on Tahuti's channel just want to be enchanted. You want to be enchanted? Go over there to Tahuti Amenhotep Ra channel. You talk about a man who don't know what a resume is. He have no idea. He never worked for nobody in his life. Yet and still, this man, I'm 51. This guy older than me, so he got to be pushing. He got to be like something at age like 60. You know, like my Uncle Steve and Eric, was, and Zay and them. You know, them niggas don't do like my big brother age. And this man never had a job, never worked for anyone. Only person he ever worked for was the mafia, who held secrets. Malachi York, and himself. A man who spent most of his life being basically a goddamn bum. Yeah, Yasha talk is gangster talk, because Tahuti worked for the gangsters. He worked for the mafia. That's what he said. I didn't say that. I never worked for the mafia. I never sold drugs for them. They were my family and friends who had ideologies about life and worldviews that I did not see. I didn't want those worldviews for my life. And many times I've regretted it. And many times, you know, I act goody two shoes. Like I said, I talked about going to college, but it was a time when my college education didn't work for me out here. And they was balling, looking down on me. I bragged about jobs. There was a time I got fired, and them boys was balling, looking down on me. So it made it hard for me to fight that type of fight. You know, I tell people about God, goodness, morals, and then 42 Dub, T Grizzly, they go to the penitentiary and they come out and get record deals and get millions of dollars for being prisoners and criminals. It made it hard for me to fight those guys. I learned to respect them. You know, I just learned to respect them. You know, and in learning to respect them, they have learned to disrespect me. They have learned to disrespect the power of God, because they have learned that they don't need God anymore. They need their hustle. They somewhere this world have rewarded them for living their fucked up and wicked lives. Yeah, you go to jail, you come out, you get a movie. You go to jail, you come out, you get a record deal. You know, White Boy Rick did 30 years, came out, and the whole movie was displayed and on cinema before he even got out the damn penitentiary. I used to do Diane's hair. I used to do her dreads. White boy Rick shot her in the back and put her in a fucking wheelchair. Oh, why Diane? Why I used to do Diane hair? Rick used to be in prison. All she used to talk about was how this motherfucker is responsible for her being crippled. These guys go to jail. I listen to Boogaloo's story. Boogaloo in jail, and he talk about how he's in all these programs and how he's a reformed man and how he don't want nothing to do with the life that he lived. But the life that you live, Boogaloo, is painted in stone. Whether you can become a preacher, man, that would be your only salvation, man. He could never come out here and live as a regular man. He could never come out here and live as a gangster. He'd probably be better off living as a gangster coming back out here as a regular man because he set that down. That's his legacy. All while he talking about how he wished that he would have never had nothing to do with that life that he chose. All while he's in jail suffering and repenting. There's people out here talking about, yeah, Boogaloo killed them, man. All them best friends. All them best friends. Man, my ex-wife got a baby by one of them niggas, man. All right. I'm just trying to tell you. And I got to beefing with him and caught football numbers. You know, remember I telling you me standing in front of the judge and shit? That's me beefing over a bitch with the best friend niggas. You know? Known hitmen killers. I had to show them niggas I'm from that Curry Monster Crew cloth, Big Ed cloth, man. You know, and I'm cut from a cloth a little different than what the fuck you think, man. Okay? You know, I backed all them niggas up off of me, man. You know? Uh, do I still, it's one or two niggas out there that I worry about because of that. I shouldn't. If anything happened to me, he gonna get his head combed. So I really just go on living my life. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I lived that life, man. And if you really repented of that lifestyle, you're gonna have to show the world, man, that you really have nothing to do with that. You know, I could have gotten Cecil and even Cliff on my channel. I could have, and I still can. Tazaki was one of my first donors. He told me, "What do you have to stand to gain from that? We're not moving in that direction." So that you just have to trust what I say. And I'm saying that talking about Clifford Jones, talking about Demetrius Holloway, talking about Maserati Rick, those are things of the past. The only one living is Clifford Jones. Y'all ain't been talking about him. Don't start. Okay.